Premier League then, I was going to say it's week 26, but it looks like a decimated programme this week, and I found out that apparently it was agreed when the fixtures were drawn together that this particular week and next week would be regarded as a rest period for these hard done by professional footballers on huge salaries. So basically the 10 fixtures are over a 2-week period, so that every team has a weekend off as such. So what we've got is 4 matches over the 2 days this weekend, and those teams will have a rest next weekend, and the 6 teams that don't play this weekend are in action the following weekend. You got it? Right, 2 matches on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Obviously this is the first of the Saturday matches, and it was at Goodison Park, Everton at home to Crystal Palace. Milivojevic was back for Palace, and Holgate was on the bench. Delph was suspended following his red card a while back. Palace were basically at full strength. Benteke retained up front. Into the action, 2nd minute, a free kick for Everton, and Dania managed to test Gaeta, but he was up for it and he pushed it behind. On 12 minutes, first chance for Palace, Van Aanholt got in the box and his snap shot hit the post and was cleared away for a corner. And then on 17 minutes, deadlock broken. Some great work fed Walcott on the right, and he managed to slip his marker, and he's always had pace, and a great cross to the far post. Bernard arrived and he hit it first time on the side of his right foot, and it hit the back of the net, and no chance for Gaeta, and 1-0 to the Toffees. 25 minutes, another chance from a Danish cross, but this time Calvert-Lewin failed to get his head to it, and so it went away harmlessly. Competitive match, I must admit. It was good on the eye. But Palace needed to be more purposeful, and we arrived at the break with Everton 1 up. Into the second half, and 47 minutes, Everton defence got in a right old mess. There was ping-pong in their box, but eventually they managed to clear it away. But they could do nothing on 50 minutes when a breakaway by Palace fed Benteke on the right. He went into the box, speculative shot, and Pickford, who's guilty of this on occasion, absolute howler from him. It went under his body and into the net, and the big Belgian had broken his goal drought, and we were level at 1-1. 6 minutes later, Benteke could have got his second. Van Aanholt cross went through some legs of defenders, and then it was came to Benteke, who was almost touching the goal, and it hit his chest and hit the bar and managed to get cleared away. But a couple of minutes later, a very swift counter-attack by Everton, very purposeful. Richarlison, he made a beeline for the penalty box with 2 defenders chasing, but his shot was far too good. It hit the corner of the net, and Everton were back in front of 2-1. 61 minutes, Benteke again in the action. He had a point-blank header, but here, good reflex play from Pickford. The Belgian really should have scored. Into the last quarter, Palace did try and up their game. They were pressing for the equaliser, but no real great chances. And then a few minutes before the end, a corner was headed on and Richarlison managed to force a header. It hit the bar and rebounded back to Calvert-Lewin, who latched on it and squeezed it home. That was 3-1. Game over. Another great chance from Richarlison. Great shot. in added time, but Gaeta managed to palm it away. But on the face of it, good value for this win, Everton. They continue to improve under Ancelotti. Less satisfactory for Hodgson, of course. The final score, anyway, at Goodison Park was Everton 3, Crystal Palace 1. Second game on Saturday then was at the Amex, Brighton versus Watford. Bit of a relegation dogfight, this one. Murray was retained up front for Brighton, Mopé still on the bench. Watford recalled, we saw for the first time for a long time, Hughes back in Watford's midfield. Strangely to see Welbeck on the bench. He hasn't figured at all for Watford for some time. He seems like his career is going in the wrong direction. Anyway, early pressure from the home side, but Hughes managed to interfere with an attack, and then March found Murray, but it was easy for goalkeeper Foster. 18 minutes though on the counter. Watford sprinted downfield, Decore heading into the box, and his shot whipped past Ryan, and that was 1-0 for the Hornets. There was then after that an incident in Watford's box. Scoletti went over, but VAR had a look at it and said no penalty, so it was 1-0 at the break for the visitors. And into the second half though, Brighton seemed to get their act together, although an early effort from Delafeo, he scuffed his shot but it just went wide. Then an outstretched leg from Foster denied a Moy, but finally on 78 minutes a flowing move ended up down the right, and the sub Jahanbach managed to whip a neat cross over, and unfortunately Mapayapa, retreating desperately, managed to connect the ball, and it flew in his own net. So level 1-1. That was about right. We got to the full-time whistle. A good point for Watford, although they're still in the bottom three. Brighton, they were probably happy with a point as well. So final score at the Amex, Brighton 1, Watford 1. Right, the first of the Sunday matches then was at Bramall Lane. Sheff Utd, high-flying Sheff Utd, at home to Bournemouth. The Blades were 5 points from the top four. This would have been unimaginable 6 months ago, and the crowd was certainly wanting more. McGoldrick and Mousset were on the bench. Sharp retained up front with McBurney. For Bournemouth, this is their 5th season in the top flight, and they're desperately trying to avoid relegation and get a 6th. Both Harry Wilson and Callum Wilson were up front. Early break by McBurney on 2 minutes, but his pass was diverted to Fleck and nothing came of it. A couple of early raids by Cherries down the left, but strong defending forced Harry Wilson's header well wide. And then on 10 minutes, a free kick from the left for the Cherries, and this time Callum Wilson's volley went narrowly wide. But finally on 12 minutes, a really nice cross from Fraser. The first effort by Harry Wilson forced the goalkeeper to parry the ball out, but Callum Wilson was waiting there, and he swatted the ball into the roof of the net, and the Cherries were 1-up. From the restart, they nearly got a second, but from the cross, from the left again, Billing just couldn't get a final touch as he ran in. 15 minutes, a quick counter by the Blades. McBurney strong, but Sharp's effort from a very tight angle hit the side netting. And 26 minutes, another dangerous free kick for the Cherries on the left. Berger was having a bit of a nightmare on debut, trying to contain Fraser's delivery, but on this occasion the threat was cleared, and up the other end Egan got his head to a cross from the right, and he headed it back across goal. But this time O'Connell, the second header, hit it over the top. So we move on to minute 34. And Sheffield United were starting to press, and the Cherries were getting stuck in their final third. The pressure was considerable, and finally on 43 minutes, a ball from a corner found Norwood, and his shot from the edge of the box ricocheted off Ake just wide of the target. Then from the corner, McBurney forces a great save from Ramsdale. The Blades keeping the pressure on as half-time approached. But in added time, 46 minutes, finally Sharp managed to pick up the scraps off a poor punch by the goalkeeper, defending his line. The clearance fell to Sharp and he poked it home, and that was 1-1. Well, that was the score at the break, and into the second half it was tit for tat really, and certainly nice football between these two sides. You wouldn't have expected if you'd looked at the fixture list a few months ago. So into the second half then, and early on Sharp managed to latch onto a McBurney header that was flicked to him, but Ramsdale in the Bournemouth goal managed to scramble it behind. A little later there was a little fracas on the touchline involving a foul of sorts, which involved a Bournemouth player and the Sheffield manager Chris Wilder. It looked a little bit nasty. Both got yellows from the referee, but then play continued. 60 minutes, Ake clipped an effort just wide. It got a bit scrappy after that, but the Blades were certainly on the front foot. Lundstrom came on and he started to look lively. On 70 minutes, Henderson blocked a stinging shot from Fraser after good build-up by the Cherries. And on 75, both Mousset and McBurney had chances in the penalty area after a great cross from Baldock, but a couple of blocks eased the pressure on the Cherries. Then we were 4 minutes away from a draw when Lundstrom managed to latch onto a ball inside the box. Quick free, he moved it from his left to his right and prodded the ball past Ramsdale to put the Blades up 2-1. So once again Sheffield United had turned things round. Lots of huffing and puffing from Bournemouth, but it wasn't to be. Wilder's boys notched up another win. So final score at Bramall Lane was Sheffield United 2 and Bournemouth 1. Now the other game due to be played in the evening, Manchester City versus West Ham, was postponed due to the appalling weather over the Pennines. Apparently